This isn't just any high school. It's a battleground. Here in Korea's most notorious institution, fists fly to settle academic scores, and violence is glorified. Yet, amidst this brutal reality, Ga-min harbored a singular dream, a top university. He knew, deep in his bones, that knowledge was his destiny. From a young age, without prompting, he immersed himself in tutoring classes. He toiled, he struggled, and finally he scraped his way to third from the bottom. Undeterred, he hired a private tutor in middle school, only to see his rank stubbornly cling to third from the bottom. He blamed himself, studying relentlessly. On the bus, even in the restroom, his efforts bore fruit, meager as it was, pushing him to second from the bottom. The constant failures chipped away at his spirit, motivation waning with each setback. One day, an overheard conversation reignited his spark. Classmates discussing special admissions to college through technical high school. A surge of hope propelled him there, only to be met with a harsh truth. It wasn't the academic haven he'd envisioned. His grades remained stagnant. He reasoned that the tougher students must be secretly studying at home. His last resort, a study group, his mother's friend had boasted of her son's 10-rank improvement. After joining one, he applied to countless groups, only to face rejection, deemed too far behind. Some even cruelly suggested he'd have better luck being reborn. A fire ignited within him. He vowed to create his own study group. His eyes settled on Saean, a student who exuded intelligence despite his slacker demeanor. As Ga-min approached, a challenger, ranked 173rd, intercepted Saean. Saean, a pacifist at heart, was warned by a bystander, refused to fight, and faced the disciplinary department, an official school gang that used violence to maintain order. Saean had no choice but to defend himself, but he was outmatched. That day marked the arrival of a new teacher, Ms. Lee, Ga-min's former middle school tutor. She had always recognized his potential. When she called roll, the class displayed blatant disrespect, one boy even audibly farting. The class bully, Hyun-woo, awoke in a fit of rage, hurling coffee at the blackboard and singling out the offending student for punishment after class. Ga-min sought out Ms. Lee, relishing their shared past. She inquired about his studies, and he eagerly unveiled his study group plan, mentioning Saean. To recruit Saean, Ga-min became his shadow, a constant, murmuring presence. Eventually Saean, exasperated, agreed to tutor him. He patiently explained concepts, time and again, but Ga-min remained bewildered. His meticulously taken notes were useless. He simply lacked a knack for academics. Saean flatly refused to join the study group, warning Ga-min that Panul, the school's true power, would never allow it. Panul's father was a ruthless gang leader, and Panul inherited his cruelty, topping the school not academically, but with sheer combat prowess. He'd even created a ranking software, turning the school into a power-obsessed hierarchy. Undaunted, Ga-min flashed his second place from the bottom report card, trying to persuade Saean to pursue college. Saean, enraged, tore it to shreds, warning Ga-min to leave him alone. Later, in the restroom, Saean, thinking Ga-min was still trailing him, cursed loudly. To his shock, it was Hyun-woo. He stammered apologies, but Hyun-woo demanded 200,000 won in compensation. Saean, visibly distressed, was brutally beaten. Just then, Ga-min, masked and wielding a fire extinguisher, burst in. In the ensuing chaos, he rescued Saean, but instead of gratitude, Saean blamed him for interfering, claiming escape would lead to perpetual torture. He tried to leave, only to run into Hyun-woo again. Though beaten once more, Saean refused to betray Ga-min. At the critical moment, Ga-min reappeared, snapping Hyun-woo's stick and knocking him unconscious. Ga-min had always believed in the link between health and academic success, exercising daily since 3rd grade. His uncle, who ran a martial arts school, saw him as his successor, but Ga-min's heart was set on studying. After his rescue, Seon returned home, weary. His alcoholic father barked orders. Learn welding after graduation. College was a waste of money. Skills were paramount. Seon left, heartbroken. He had been a top student, but his father's dictates had forced him into technical school. Only Ga-min understood his college aspirations. He gathered his old mistake notebooks and placed them on Ga-min's desk. As Ga-min prepared to thank him, a bench slammed into him. Hyunwoo had discovered his masked identity. He snatched the notebooks and set them ablaze. Desperate, Ga-min dodged Hyunwoo's attacks, even knocking him down, but the notebooks were ruined. Enraged, Ga-min decided to fight Hyunwoo. After a few rounds, Hyunwoo lay defeated. In a desperate fury, he flung the burning backpack at Ga-min, who calmly kicked it back into his arms. The 220th ranked loser had defeated a top 10 fighter. The school was stunned. Yet, Ga-min's only concern was for Hyunwoo to wake up and apologize to Seon. Seeing his burned hand, Seon angrily tossed the notebook into the trash and agreed to join the study group. Just then, Ms. Lee rushed in, dousing the flames, but it was too late. An inspector, observing the school, had witnessed the fight and arson. The vice principal swiftly branded Ga-min a bully and called for his expulsion. Ms. Lee bravely defended Ga-min, asserting that the school was at fault. Ga-min had been bullied first. She boldly declared that students in this high school were forced to resort to violence for self-preservation. The inspector recognized her as last year's top scorer on the teacher's certification exam, a certification she had let lapse. He pressed her for a solution. In a moment of panic, Ms. Lee remembered Ga-min's study group idea and passionately advocated for it. The inspector seemed intrigued. The vice principal grudgingly agreed, but with a condition. The study group needed 5 members within 2 weeks to become an official club. To achieve this, Ga-min and Seon posted recruitment notices, but no one signed up. Rumors, meanwhile, painted Ga-min as a fire-breathing monster, a student ranked 3rd in combat power. Disbelieving the hype, ignored warnings, and challenged him. Ga-min, mistaking him for a study group applicant, welcomed him and turned to retrieve an application form. The challenger attacked, but Ga-min, focused solely on the form, effortlessly dodged every punch. When the form was crushed, he went to find a new one, the locker door inadvertently knocking the challenger down. Ga-min, bewildered, had no idea what had happened. Seon, however, was in shock. Students watching now saw Ga-min as an invincible master. The rumors intensified, Ga-min unknowingly forging another legend. He became a fearsome figure to lower-ranked students, none daring to meet his gaze. Yet, he longed to find students eager to learn, to connect through shared academic ambition. Complaining to Seon, he spotted an unusual boy approaching. Seon explained it was Jian-yop, his middle school friend who had studied in the US. Ga-min rushed over, earnestly inviting him to the study group. Jian-yop scoffed, expressing indifference to others, getting hurt for a mere study group. With time running out, Seon suggested Ga-min pursue sports instead of studying. Ga-min acknowledged his athletic talent, but reiterated his love for academics. Ms. Lee encouraged them, buying study supplies and treating them to food. Returning home, she found her door broken. Hyunwoo, bruised and battered, was inside. Panel had punished him for losing to Ga-min, ordering him to ensure Ms. Lee lost her job or face dire consequences. At a critical moment, the lights flickered out. A figure rushed in, knocking everyone down, and helped her escape. In the elevator, the figure removed his hat. It was Jian-yop. They had met on campus before. He pulled her into the parking lot. She tried to call the police with his phone, but a thug snatched it. She then attempted to intervene, but they dared to attack a teacher. Jeonyop fought bravely, but was eventually overwhelmed. Hyunwoo recognized him from a middle school murder case and ordered his men to beat him further. He then moved to attack Miss Lee, but Ga-min suddenly appeared. He removed his glasses and single-handedly fought them, transforming their sticks and chains into nunchaku, knocking them all to the ground. Jeonyop, eager to ask about the murder case, which seemed connected to his mother's death, was stopped by Ga-min to prevent further escalation. This gave Hyunwoo a chance to escape. Before leaving, he advised Miss Lee not to believe that bad guys would face fair punishment and warned Ga-min against forming a study group. Afterwards, Ms. Lee returned Bruce Lee's book to Ga-min, which he had left with her. She hesitated about calling the police when her doorbell rang. It was one of the thugs, kneeling, begging for mercy. He claimed Panul had ordered them, and disobedience meant death. Feeling pity, she agreed to let him go if he answered her questions truthfully. The next day, a message arrived. Someone wanted to join the study group. Ga-min excitedly rushed to the classroom, only to recoil. It was full of girls, and he had no idea who Jiwoo was. A curly-haired girl called out Jiwoo's name. Seon, seeing her, urged Ga-min to leave. She was Hyunwoo's twin sister. Suddenly, chaos erupted. Girls were bullying Jiwoo and her friend Hyewon. The curly-haired girl mocked their study schedule, stomped on it, and even spat gum on it. Ga-min quickly intercepted the gum and praised the schedule. Just then, Woojin from the disciplinary department entered, claiming Jiwoo as his girlfriend and threatening anyone who spoke to her. Ga-min, in a flash, threw the gum at Woojin's face. A fight was imminent. The teacher appeared, stopping them, but Ga-min knew that messing with the disciplinary department meant endless trouble for the study group. Suddenly, Hyewon confessed. She had submitted the application in Jiwoo's name, hoping they would protect Jiwoo from bullying. Hyewon, a transfer student, had accidentally offended the curly-haired girl and become her target. Jiwoo had defended her, earning the curly-haired girl's resentment. Furthermore, Jiwoo's brother, Hyunwoo, had lost something important while working part-time. Woojin had offered to lend him money, but on the condition that he steal from a convenience store, recording the entire incident. Since then, he had used the video to blackmail Jiwoo into being his girlfriend. Hyewon, about to transfer schools, begged Ga-min and Seon to delete the video. Seon was concerned. The video was in the disciplinary office. Hearing this, Ga-min remained fearless. He hid in the office locker, overhearing that Woojin had orchestrated Hyunwoo's robbery, lending him the stolen money and recording it all to control him. The true mastermind was Panul. Meanwhile, Ms. Lee called Panul to her office, having figured out his scheme. He didn't deny it, claiming she was the most interesting teacher he'd met. On the other side, Ga-min decided to act. Seeing a USB plugged into a computer, he deliberately allowed Woojin to grab his legs, then slowly maneuvered towards the computer and snatched the USB. He cleanly knocked Woojin down, but ran into 3 other guys. Outnumbered, he was pinned, but clung tightly to the USB. The malicious Woojin decided to upload the video online to ruin Hyunwoo's life. Outside, Seon and Hyewon plotted a rescue. Jiwoo, passing by, overheard and decided to join. Suddenly, Ga-min kicked open the door, rushing out with the computer, but he tripped. The computer slid right to Seon's feet. Ga-min blocked the chasing thugs, while Seon ran to the rooftop with the computer. Woojin pressured him to hand it over. Seeing no one below, Seon threw it down. Woojin was about to attack him, but Jiwoo appeared and easily defeated him. Afterwards, a teacher took Ga-min away, and the USB fell to the ground. Hyewon noticed it and reached for it, but the curly-haired girl snatched it, claiming she'd return it to Woojin. For the first time, the quiet Hyewon cursed and charged at the girl. Reclaiming the USB, Jiwoo praised her courage and helped her up. At that moment, Hyunwoo appeared. Panel had revealed the truth to him earlier and given him a knife, tempting him to kill Woo Jin. In a crisis, Ms. Lee blocked the knife with her body. She had researched Hyunwoo's background, knowing he lived with Hyun and worked while attending school to support her studies. Ms. Lee comforted him, promising her help. Ga-min swiftly carried her to the hospital. Luckily, her injury wasn't serious. Ji-woo apologized on behalf of her brother. Ms. Lee seized the opportunity, inviting her to join the study group. Hyun also decided against transferring, wanting to join with her. Feeling the warmth of their support, Ji-woo agreed. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo was sent to a juvenile center. Panel was arrested, but quickly released the next day. Downstairs, a shout erupted. Someone wanted a one-on-one with Ga-min. The news of the disciplinary department's defeat had caused a stir. Rumors spread rapidly. Ga-min aimed to rule the school. The first challenger was Kong, the 11th grade's number 1. Ga-min ignored him, but when he saw Lee Jun's study group application torn to shreds, he leaped down and punched Kong to the ground. Lee Jun had loved fighting since childhood, but always lost. He believed his body was too weak, training his lung capacity, even wearing short sleeves in winter, yet still faced defeat. He thought he wasn't trying hard enough, so he worked out relentlessly, even in class or on the bus, with the same frustrating results. One day, he overheard that to get stronger, he should go to technical high school. Hope surged, and he enrolled, learning many fighting skills, rising from 173rd to 17th on the leaderboard. Since then, no matter his efforts, his ranking remained stagnant. After witnessing Ga-min's duel with Hyunwoo, he desired to join the study group. Ga-min refused, suspecting he only wanted to improve his fight ranking. Lee Jun then vowed to focus on studying. To test his resolve, Ga-min gave him a test to complete before they returned. While Lee Jun was diligently taking the test, a tattooed man barged in. He flipped through the book, mistaking Lee Jun for Ga-min, ordering him to follow for another test. They went to a remote warehouse. The man revealed himself as a scout for the YB family, seeking backup fighters. Only the top 3 from each school qualified. If Lee Jun defeated 3 opponents and grabbed the car key on the hood, he would become a backup fighter and own the car. Meanwhile, everyone thought Lee Jun had run away. But after seeing the test paper, Ga-min realized something was wrong. It wasn't until Janyop appeared that they learned Lee Jun had been abducted by the gang. The scout soon realized his mistake and decided to punish Lee Jun. At that moment, Ga-min appeared with his friends. He held up the test paper, declaring Lee Jun had passed. Seeing Lee Jun's plight, everyone was ready to fight. Ji-woo attacked first, with Janyop joining immediately. Ga-min rolled up the paper, using his knowledge to defeat a knife-wielding thug. He then rushed at the scout, but was overpowered. Even with the 3 of them teaming up, they were badly beaten. Ga-min struggled to his feet, deciding to unleash a dangerous technique his uncle had forbidden. He used a one-sided attack until the wall broke. Suddenly, a car started. Lee Jun instantly got up and pushed Ga-min aside. Ga-min reacted quickly, avoiding danger. A man in a hat emerged from the car, inviting Ga-min to join the YB family. He firmly refused, stating his sole desire was to study and go to college. The hat guy then mocked Janyop, asking if he was at their school to pay condolences or if it was in the will. Janyop was enraged, immediately chasing him on his motorcycle. The police arrived, arresting the scout and his men. Before leaving, the detective gave Ga-min a business card, thanking them for helping catch the gangsters. Back at base, the hat guy praised Ga-min's performance, calling him impressive. Panel also gave a rare 4-star rating. After experiencing life and death together, the 5 finally formed a study group. To motivate them, Ms. Lee decided to take them to visit another school's study group. The 4, dressed in their latest fashion, confidently walked through Seoul. With Ms. Lee's recommendation, They visited the top-ranked Munjol High. Ga-min, confused, accidentally entered the notorious Manic High next door. While waiting, Lee Jun decided to play a game to ease the tension with the top students. One girl, however, acted arrogantly, seemingly unwilling to engage. Ji-woo almost clashed with her. A boy explained that her aggressive demeanor stemmed from constant bullying by the evil students from Manic High. Meanwhile, a top student was being blackmailed. Even if his parents called the police, they faced retaliation. Unaware, Ga-min walked into the building and was immediately surrounded by bullies. He punched away a flying fire extinguisher. A boy inside heard the commotion and, thinking Ga-min was being beaten, opened the door only to see all his bullies lying on the ground. The boy, looking for money from his mother, saw Ga-min break in. Just then, Seon called, asking Ga-min to save the boy from Manic High. The boy quickly stood up, urging Ga-min to leave quickly. Then, the strongest monster appeared. Ga-min calmly removed his glasses, then went full force, knocking him down. He then took the boy back to Munjol High, and they successfully exchanged study experiences. Before leaving, the top student sincerely apologized. The boy pulled Ga-min aside, asking if he remembered him. They had been classmates in middle school. Back then, Ga-min had asked to join his study group, but was mocked. He apologized for his arrogance, now believing Ga-min could become number one in the school, even in the country. Back at school, the study group finally got their own activity room. Though in poor condition, Ga-min remained optimistic, planning the layout. Together, they cleaned the classroom, making it neat and tidy. Kim, the number one in grades, came to provoke them, calling them brainless fools. Ga-min suppressed his anger, resolving to defeat him with good grades. Ms. Lee admired his courage, but cautioned him against arrogance. She then analyzed their rankings. Except for Seon, who was second, the others were in the lower middle range. She encouraged them not to give up, assuring them they could succeed if they followed her guidance. From now on, they would study after school. Lee Jun revealed he had seen Ms. Lee visit the dean. She sought a disciplinary meeting to punish Panul. The dean doubted her ability to succeed and wanted to test her first. If each member of the study group improved by 10 ranks, he would agree to her proposal. This midterm was more than just a battle between students. Seon got a call and left in a hurry. His father shouted for him to come to the construction site. Feeling upset, he suddenly heard Hyun calling him. The two had a crush on each other. On the way, they ran into Kim and the curly-haired girl. Seon, accustomed to bullying, couldn't fight back, watching helplessly as Kim led Hyun away. Just then, Ga-min arrived, knocking Kim down and kicking away their phones. Seon felt ashamed that his crush had witnessed his weakness and left quietly. At home, his father, as expected, scolded him. He ran outside and saw Ga-min waiting. Ga-min had overheard their argument and told him to come home with him. Struggling with his pride, Seon refused and wandered off, only to be caught by Kim again. But this time, he dodged every attack and even fought back. It turned out Ga-min was secretly guiding him on the phone from nearby. For the first time, Seon relished fighting back. Afterwards, Ga-min took Seon home. It was past 11 p.m. His mother, cold-faced, had been waiting outside. Seeing the blood on his friend, she demanded Ga-min transfer schools the next day. She could accept his son's poor grades, but not him becoming violent. Seon thought his mother was just saying that, as transferring wasn't easy, but Ga-min knew she always meant what she said. The next day, she went to the principal's office to discuss the transfer. Seon still held on to hope, thinking with Ga-min's poor grades, no school would accept him. But his mother decided to move to Seoul to find a school. To buy time, Hyun stopped the car. Everyone tried their best to persuade his mother. She even lied, claiming she was carrying Ga-min's baby. But his mother ignored her and drove off. Ms. Lee arrived in a hurry, but was too late. She chased after Ga-min with the kids in her car. Suddenly, a group of motorcycles blocked the road. Their leader was Kong, who had lost to Ga-min not long ago. He knew that if Ga-min transferred, he could reclaim first place in combat power. Lee Jun and Ji-woo got out of the car and fought, defeating the group. Then Lee Jun told them to go ahead, while he stayed behind to block the attack. Ms. Lee knocked a motorcycle down and kept speeding forward. Ga-min's mother was talking to a real estate agent when they arrived. She and Ms. Lee had known each other for a long time. A year ago, Ms. Lee's mentor, Ms. Woo, had passed away unexpectedly. Ga-min's mother had told Ms. Lee that instead of grieving, she should use her strength to help students, as Ms. Woo had. Ms. Lee took her advice, coming to this school to protect kids from bullying and help them study. Ga-min had even successfully formed a study group and made many friends. This made his mother feel guilty. She realized she had never expected much from her son, which might have hurt him. Just as she was about to agree, a new crisis emerged. Panel learned that Ms. Lee had filed a petition to impeach him, so he sent men to deal with her. Ga-min was ready to fight, but the bat was kicked away by his mother, who was the director of the Korean Taekwondo Association. She then worked with the kids to defeat them. Ms. Lee was about to call the police when the hat guy suddenly shot at her. Ga-min rushed to grab the gun, but was too late. To protect Ms. Lee, his mother was shot in the head and fell unconscious. In the hospital, Jang-yup told him the truth and warned him not to seek revenge on Panul. Panul had 3 bodyguards, Dae Cheol, Son Cheol, and Min Cheol. They were incredibly strong. No one could defeat them. Thinking of his injured mother, Ga-min still chose to confront him, but was pinned to the ground by Son Cheol. Before leaving, Panul told them to leave Ga-min, a breath of life. Lying on the ground, he heard his heart racing and remembered his uncle's teaching. At times like this, staying calm was the key. He slowly stood up, trying to steady his heartbeat. Then he used a forbidden move and fought back with all his strength, successfully defeating all 3. Meanwhile, the vice principal scolded Ms. Lee for submitting a petition to the Education Bureau, as if the school was a gangster training ground. He demanded she apologize to all students and teachers. Ms. Lee calmly stood on stage, then firmly declared their school was not in a normal state. She wanted to carry on her teacher's wish and transform it into an ordinary high school. The vice principal rushed up and knocked away the microphone. Just then, Ga-min kicked open the door and punched Panul. Panul fought back without hesitation. Ga-min told him he was just an ordinary person too. Getting hit hurt, so he should stop acting so cocky. After being provoked, the hat guy suggested dealing with Ga-min immediately. Panul made a call and recommended his bodyguard, Son Cheol. At that moment, Son Cheol was at the hospital, caring for his grandfather. His grandfather hoped he would become a good person. So in his free time, Son Cheol always studied hard. He ran into Ga-min, who was visiting his injured mother. When he knew why Ga-min wanted revenge, he understood his feelings. Ga-min asked why he obeyed Panul when he clearly wanted to study. Son Cheol mocked him, saying studying wouldn't guarantee a good job, but serving Panul could get a direct job in the YB family. Just then, Dae Cheol called and told him to hide. Right after, 2 fighter trainers arrived. Son Cheol immediately acted respectful. He even pushed Ga-min aside, pretending not to know him. The 2 then escorted him away. The next day, the news reported that a 40-year-old man was stabbed to death. The suspect was Son Cheol. The detective asked Ga-min if he saw Son Cheol at the hospital last night. Ga-min admitted he did, but didn't mention that gangsters took him away. After school, he felt down. Seon noticed, knowing Ga-min didn't believe Son Cheol was the killer. The study group held an emergency meeting. Seon found that since Panul enrolled, high school student crime rates increased, while adult crime rates dropped. Students got lighter sentences due to their ages and could get parole in a few years. In return, they joined the gang after release and became YB family members. Now they just needed proof that Son Cheol didn't kill that night. On his way home, Ga-min met Dae-cheol, who said Son Cheol was not the killer. The fighter trainer chased after him, planning to punish him. Ga-min couldn't ignore it. He took off his glasses and knocked him out with a punch. Dae-cheol revealed he saw a gang official cleaning a bloody knife. It was an open secret in the gang that the officials killed and the backup fighters served time instead. Ga-min shared the news with the study group. Ji-woo worried he was being used, but he believed Son Cheol wasn't a killer because his eyes showed a desire to study. The four decided to trust his judgment and planned to find the murder weapon to save Son Cheol. Ga-min and his friends donned borrowed uniforms and sneaked into the YB family compound. Seon and Hyewon stayed outside, using a drone to provide information. But today was the gang's general meeting, and Panel would also attend. To avoid him, the three ran away. Ga-min got separated from the two and hid on the rooftop. The fighter trainer heard a noise and went upstairs to check. After he left, Ga-min found the door was locked. Meanwhile, Lee Jun's identity was exposed. He chose to fight alone while Ji-woo searched for evidence. She found the murder weapon in an office drawer. As she was leaving, she heard footsteps and hid in the desk. But the trainer had already noticed her. Meanwhile, Lee Jun was in a fierce fight. He was cut in several places, but still defeated the guy. Ji-woo was also in danger. The trainers attacked her from both sides and knocked her out. Meanwhile, Ga-min was trying to find a way to leave when he got a call from Mrs. Lee. He quickly took out his mistake notebooks, but accidentally dropped it on a gang official. Just then, he saw the trainers carrying away the unconscious Ji-woo. He hung up in a hurry and kicked the door non-stop. Suddenly, Hyewon lost control of the drone. The hat guy appeared and destroyed it. They completely lost contact with the three. At the crucial moment, Son Cheol blocked the car. The trainer mocked him, saying he shouldn't be there. It turned out Son Cheol was asked to take the fall for the gang official. Panel promised to hire the best lawyer and pay for his grandpa's treatment. Then he gave Son Cheol a lawyer's card and threw his word book into the trash. So Son Cheol admitted the crime as ordered. But when the detective asked about murder details, his statement was full of mistakes. The detective knew he was not the real killer and persuaded him not to give up his life so easily. Thinking of his grandpa and kind Ga-min, Son Cheol decided not to go along with Panel anymore. His friends arrived. Ji-woo also woke up, grabbed the knife, and joined the fight, but the trainer was too strong. Even together, they couldn't win until Ga-min appeared with nunchaku. The trainer tore open his shirt, showing his scars, and fought him in close combat, knocking him to the ground. He mocked everyone as his defeated opponent. The next moment, Ga-min stood up unharmed and mocked his weak power. They fought again, and Ga-min used his uncle's forbidden technique, the 0-inch punch, to send him flying. Afterward, he helped Son Cheol up and invited him back to school to study together. Son Cheol was unsure if he could be an ordinary student again. Meanwhile, the trainer still tried to pick up the knife. Ji-woo quickly kicked it away and told Son Cheol not to overthink it, just study. Then they heard shouting. Seon and Hyewon arrived, fully armed to help, making everyone laugh. Suddenly, Ga-min remembered his mistake notebook and quickly got up to chase the gang official. At that moment, the detective stopped him, knowing he was the real killer. The official pulled out a hidden weapon, but Ga-min knocked him out first. The bad guys were punished. The study group was getting ready for the life-changing midterm. After the exam, they excitedly checked answers with Seon. Ga-min was upset, noticing his answers were different from theirs. Ga-min's mother, who had just been discharged from the hospital, called Ms. Lee to ask where Ga-min was. Ms. Lee reassured her not to worry, saying he was out having fun with his friends. His mother explained that he always got down before his grades came out. He couldn't focus or control his strength. His friends noticed something was wrong and took turns talking to him. Sayan said water only turns into steam when it reaches the boiling point, and before that, it looks unchanged. Learning is the same. If Ga-min kept putting in effort, big changes would come one day. Hearing this, Ga-min felt enlightened and stopped being unhappy. Suddenly Daecheol called him. Son Cheol's grandfather was in critical condition, but he still insisted on taking the exam. Son Cheol rushed to the hospital, but was stopped by gangsters. When he finally arrived, bruised and battered, he saw Ga-min helping his grandfather take the TOEIC exam. It was his lifelong wish. Later, the study group attended his funeral. Ga-min remembered his words. He had to show Son Cheol the joy of learning. He told the grandfather that Son Cheol had found happiness in studying. Son Cheol opened the word book his grandfather left behind, thanked Ga-min for fulfilling his last wish, and for saving him from despair. Soon, the midterm results came out. Sayan ranked first, and the others improved as well. The biggest surprise was Ga-min. He moved up from 219th to 209th place. Ms. Lee took the report card to the dean. He kept his promise and held a disciplinary meeting for Panul. On duty, Son Cheol stopped Panul's car and told him to walk in as per school rules. He got out of the car reluctantly, then glared at the study group, full of rage. Jenyup asked Miss Lee to cancel the meeting. She was alone against Panul's power and could get hurt. It turned out that Miss Wu, who had died, was Jenyup's mother. A year ago, she pushed for the disciplinary meeting, aiming to clean up the school, but a man in black killed her that night. Everyone suspected Panul, but a backup fighter took the fall for him. Jenyup feared Miss Lee would meet the same fate, but she refused to bow to evil. No matter how hard it got, she would fulfill Ms. Wu's wish. Meanwhile, Panul promised his father he would handle this crisis, just like last time. Soon, a video edited to slander the study group for theft and violence appeared online. The study group became the rogue group. The vice principal wanted to hold a disciplinary meeting to punish them and fire Ms. Lee unless she withdrew the charges against Panul. Ms. Lee told the kids their kindness was not wrong, and she didn't blame them, but until the truth came out, they must ignore all provocation, especially Ga-min. She would fix everything. Suddenly, students in the hallway started attacking each other for no reason. Panul offered a reward. Anyone who raised their ranking within an hour would get 1 million won. Even Sayan's old friend attacked him. He felt sad and confused, wondering if they could really change the school. Suddenly, he got a call and rushed to the construction site. Ga-min also received a message and ran to the activity room. Panul and his men had smashed everything, destroying their hard work. He clenched his fists, wanting to fight, but Hyun stopped him and told him to endure it. Meanwhile, Sayan saw his father fighting with workers, shouting that his son was not a rogue. It was the first time he heard his father defend him. Feeling powerless and guilty, he promised to quit school and start working at the site. The next day, Hyun's parents also took her home and forbade her from seeing the study group. Lee Jun, unaware of everything, kept texting for updates. Ga-min was about to reply when he saw Sayan leave the group chat. His mother noticed he was upset and asked what happened. He said the study group was about to disband. To comfort him, she revealed that she allowed him to continue in this school because she saw how happy he was with his friends. He then remembered the good times they had together and felt motivated again. He cleaned up the activity room, then went to the site to work with Sayan. Sayan told him to go back, but Ga-min only said he wanted to go to college with him. Sayan was moved by his determination again. He knelt and begged his father to let him stay in school. He promised that in 3 years, he would get into the best university and give his father a better life. Ga-min also vowed that one day, Sayan would own the building. Then they went to Hyun's house and convinced her parents with Sayan's top grades and a basket of blueberries. Next, they found Ji-woo at the convenience store and brought her back. Lee Jun was thrilled when he saw Seon rejoin the group chat. The next day, the study group returned to school for a final showdown with Panul. Meanwhile, Ms. Lee refused to drop the charges against Panul and insisted the disciplinary meeting go as planned. The detective advised her not to go to school. He couldn't predict what Panul might do, but she refused to back down. The day before the disciplinary meeting, the vice principal asked Ms. Lee to come to school. He decided to tell her about illegal deals between the gang and the school. The detective sensed danger and warned her not to go, but Ms. Lee insisted on being bait to get evidence. The conversation between the two began. She took out her phone to record. The vice principal openly said the school was Panul's kingdom, training gangster members and laundering money. He admired her bravery. Suddenly, all the lights went out and he quickly ran away. Ms. Lee stepped into the hallway to check, but was surrounded by Panul and 3 others. She warned them that the police would come soon. She had secretly installed a recorder in her button. The detective had promised to rescue her if she didn't come out in 30 minutes, but he was attacked. Panul threatened her, saying Ms. Wu's death was not just a rumor. Just then, the school's PA system suddenly blared. Hyun cursed the evil guys again. Meanwhile, Jae-young appeared with his 4 friends. They had been secretly watching Ms. Lee, worried for her safety. When they learned she was meeting the vice principal, they set up an ambush. Ga-min asked Lee Jun to take Ms. Lee away and protect her. He was in charge of dealing with Panul. Jiwoo and Sonchul took on the other 2. Seon was responsible for dealing with the hat guy. Lee Jun was in charge of handling the gang member, Auntie. They used to be childhood friends, but later, Auntie became Panul's lackey. Ms. Lee needed to escape and hand over the evidence to the police. From the 1st to the 4th floor, all 4 of them fought their own opponents, but were all at a disadvantage. Jiwoo was the first to fight back, but couldn't beat the chubby guy. She teamed up with Sonchul, turning the fight into 2 against 2. In the end, they turned the tables and won. Seon faced shots from the hat guy until he ran out of bullets. Then he stepped up to fight back. Before that, he learned combat skills from Ga-min's mom. First, he needed to take the hits, but never gave up. When the guy got tired, he focused on attacking his weak points. In the end, he won with an uppercut. Lee Jun pulled out the knife from his chest and took down Auntie with a swift attack. The others had already won, leaving only the strongest, Panul and Ga-min. Ga-min was knocked down many times. Panul mocked him, saying he could change nothing and couldn't save Ms. Lee. Hearing that Ms. Lee was in danger, Ga-min struggled up and used his ultimate technique to defeat Panul. Meanwhile, Ms. Lee, who had escaped, was blocked by gang members. She clutched the recorder helplessly until she heard Hyun's voice. Behind her stood the students she had convinced to protect the teacher. A fight was about to break out. The next day, Ms. Lee successfully held the disciplinary meeting. Panul was expelled. With Ms. Lee's recording, he was also arrested for killing Ms. Wu. The vice principal who covered for him was punished too. Everything was settled. Ms. Lee fulfilled Ms. Wu's wish, turning the school into a proper one. Hyun Woo was released early for turning his life around and reconciled with his sister. The study group's story wasn't over. Their final exams were coming and new challenges awaited.